When a woman secretly loves you but pretends she doesn't. The truth often shows up in her eyes long before it ever appears in her words. Human behavior is layered. We can control our speech, we can monitor our actions, and we can even construct emotional barriers to hide our intentions. But the eyes are a different kind of language. They reveal the emotional truth beneath the surface, often without permission. Psychologists call this micro-expression leakage, those tiny, involuntary shifts that happen when genuine feelings bypass conscious control. And this is why a woman's eyes become the earliest and most honest indicators of her hidden affection. You'll notice it in the way her gaze lingers just a fraction longer than it should, a moment where time feels slow for her but unnoticed by everyone else. She might look at you with a softness she doesn't show to anyone else, a gentleness that comes from emotional attachment, not casual interest. This is the moment where her internal world slips through, where affection overrides restraint. But as soon as she realizes she's been caught, she'll quickly look away, often pretending she was lost in thought or focused on something else. That quick diversion isn't rejection, it's fear. Fear of being exposed, fear of moving too fast, fear of revealing something she's not ready to explain. What makes this dynamic even more powerful is that her eyes don't just reveal attraction, they reveal investment. When she secretly cares, she observes you differently. She watches how you move, how you react, how you carry yourself when you think no one is paying attention. She studies you in the same way someone studies a piece of art they don't fully understand yet, but feel drawn to. This depth of attention is never casual. It comes from a place of fascination, respect, and emotional curiosity. She isn't trying to possess you, she's trying to understand you, as if understanding you brings her closer to her own truth. And yet, despite this emotional pull, she tries to maintain control. She forces herself to act normal, to appear indifferent, to communicate through actions that contradict her inner reality. This tension between what she feels and what she expresses creates a kind of emotional dance. Her eyes step forward, revealing her heart, while her mind steps back, hiding it again. It's a push and pull dynamic that confuses most men because it feels inconsistent. One moment she seems deeply present with you, and the next she looks away, withdraws, or pretends she wasn't paying attention at all. But this isn't inconsistency, it's vulnerability. You'll even notice that she looks at you when she thinks you're not aware. Those small glances when you turn your head, those quiet moments where she scans your face as if reading a story she's memorized. These hidden observations are the rawest expression of her affection. They're not meant to be flirtatious, and they're not meant to be seductive. They're instinctive. They're the behavior of someone whose emotions have already identified you as significant, even if her mind is still negotiating what to do with that significance. A woman rarely allows her eyes to soften for a man who means nothing to her. That softness is a signal of emotional surrender, a tiny opening in her otherwise protected world. When you see that softness, even for a second, you're witnessing the truth she hasn't yet found the courage to articulate. And sometimes she's not silent because she doesn't want you. She's silent because she wants you too much, and too much can feel unsafe when she isn't sure how you'll respond. So pay attention, not to her words, but to the emotional story unfolding in her gaze, because hidden affection doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it hesitates, sometimes it hides behind a fleeting glance that lasts only a moment. But a moment is all you need to see what her heart has been trying to tell you. And if you catch that moment, don't ignore it, because often the truth we pretend not to see is the truth that could change everything. When a woman secretly loves you but pretends she doesn't, one of the clearest signs is the way she subtly positions herself in your world. She may never say, "I want to be around you," but her behavior quietly reveals it. Human connection isn't always expressed verbally. Sometimes it shows up in patterns, repeated, almost unconscious actions that reflect emotional gravity. When someone matters to us, our attention, energy, and physical presence naturally drift toward them. This isn't strategy, it's instinct. And this instinct is exactly what guides her when she finds small, seemingly accidental ways to enter your space. She might appear in the same places you frequent, not in a planned or obvious way, but in a way that looks like coincidence, until you step back and see the pattern. Maybe she joins the conversation you're in, or chooses to stand where you can see her, or stays a little longer than she needs to just to remain in your orbit. These moments may seem ordinary on the surface, but emotionally, they're significant. They reveal a desire for proximity, a need to feel connected, even if she isn't ready to admit why. It's important to understand that this isn't manipulation. She isn't trying to control you. What she's actually doing is managing her own vulnerability. Her presence is her compromise. It's the middle ground between staying completely silent and revealing too much too soon. She knows she can't say everything she feels, not yet, so she lets her actions say what her words can't. This is often how women express affection long before they feel safe enough to verbalize it. You'll notice these subtle gestures in the way she initiates small interactions without making them look intentional. She may ask a simple question, comment on something insignificant, or find an excuse to start a short conversation with you. It's not about the content of what she says, it's about the opportunity it creates. For her, these moments aren't random. They are emotional checkpoints, small attempts to stay connected without appearing vulnerable. Even her digital presence can reflect this pattern. She might engage with your posts more often than you expect, or message you about things that don't necessarily require conversation, but create one anyway. These behaviors are expressions of interest disguised as casual interaction. They allow her to stay close without crossing the line she's afraid to step over. What gives this sign even more weight is the way she responds when she doesn't know she's being observed. If you pay attention, you'll notice that she lingers around you in moments where she has no clear reason to. She might remain seated near you when she could easily move elsewhere, or she'll stay in the room a bit longer after everyone else has left. These quiet decisions aren't logical. They're emotional. She's drawn to you, but she doesn't want to expose the pull too obviously, so she wraps her desire for closeness in layers of subtlety and caution. There's a philosophical dimension to this too. People don't move toward what they are indifferent to. They move toward what they value, and she is moving toward you, not with bold declarations, but with gentle, repeated steps. It's her way of saying, I feel something, but I don't yet know how safe it is to show it. That uncertainty shapes her behavior. It makes her more attentive, more present, more aware of where you are and how close she can get without revealing too much. The truth is, proximity is rarely accidental. Connection always leaves a trail. And when a woman repeatedly finds her way into your space, physically, emotionally, or digitally, it's a sign that her heart is already leaning in your direction, even if her words are still holding back. So pay attention to where she shows up, how often she appears, and how subtly she creates opportunities to be near you. Because the people who want to be part of your life don't wait to be invited. They find small, almost invisible ways to step in. And the moment you recognize that pattern, you'll realize her silence isn't distance. It's the quiet language of someone who cares more than she's ready to admit. When a woman secretly loves you but tries to hide it, one of the most revealing signs is the way she becomes emotionally sensitive to your presence, your mood, and your interactions with other people. She may not say anything openly, and she might even try to convince herself that she's unaffected, but her reactions tell a different story. Hidden affection always creates an emotional undercurrent, something she feels but doesn't want to expose, something she manages but can't fully control. And that sensitivity becomes a quiet form of protectiveness, a subtle emotional shift that only shows up around someone who truly matters to her. You'll notice it in the way she pays attention to your emotional state, even when she has no reason to. If you seem stressed, her tone becomes softer. If you appear distant, she becomes unusually curious. If you're upset, she tries to lighten your mood or check in on you without making it obvious. These are not the actions of someone indifferent. These are the actions of someone who feels a responsibility she can't explain, a responsibility born from unspoken attachment. What makes this sign so powerful is that it often comes wrapped in a layer of self-restraint. She doesn't want you to suspect how deeply she cares, so she expresses concern indirectly. She might offer small comforts, ask subtle questions, or mention things that show she's been paying attention to you more closely than she admits. Her emotional sensitivity is the clearest evidence that your happiness affects her more deeply than she would ever confess. But the other side of this emotional sensitivity is her reaction when she feels threatened, especially by other women. When she has hidden feelings, her heart becomes protective in ways she can't hide completely. Maybe she gets quieter when someone else makes you laugh. Maybe she suddenly withdraws when another woman compliments you. Or maybe she becomes unexpectedly irritated or sarcastic without explaining why. These reactions may seem small, but they are rooted in something very real. the fear of losing something she never had the courage to claim. Psychologically, this behavior is natural. Emotional investment always comes with vulnerability, and vulnerability always comes with fear. She is trying to balance two powerful forces, the desire to remain close to you and the fear of exposing her heart too soon. This creates an internal conflict, and that conflict shapes her behavior. She acts protective, yet distant. She cares deeply, yet hides it skillfully. She feels jealous, yet tries to appear unaffected. And this contradiction creates an emotional pattern that becomes unmistakable. Once you learn how to see it, you'll also notice that she reacts more strongly to you than she does to anyone else. If you say something that disappoints her, her mood shifts. If you praise her, she lights up in a way she tries to hide. If you ignore her, she feels it more deeply than she expected. These emotional fluctuations are not random. They're the byproduct of someone trying to manage feelings that are growing faster than she can control. Her heart is moving ahead while her mind is still trying to slow everything down. And yet, despite all the internal tension, her protectiveness is sincere. She wants you to succeed. She wants you to be safe. She wants you to be understood, supported, and appreciated. Her concern for you isn't a strategy. It's a reflection of how deeply she values your presence in her life. Even if she steps back, even if she hides her feelings, even if she pretends to be neutral, her M. Oceans betray her every time something affects you. A woman can hide her words, she can hide her intentions, she can hide her fears, but it is almost impossible for her to hide the way her heart reacts around the man she secretly loves. Her emotional sensitivity is the doorway into her truth. It is the unfiltered expression of attachment, care, and desire, wrapped in silence but felt in every moment. So watch how she reacts, not just when things are easy, but when emotions come into play, because the reactions she tries hardest to hide are often the ones that reveal the depth of her feelings. And once you recognize that depth, you begin to see her heart long before she ever finds the courage to speak it. When a woman secretly loves you but pretends she doesn't, one of the most telling signs is the way she remembers the small details you share. Details you may not even recall mentioning. Hidden affection sharpens attention. It heightens awareness. It makes her listen in a way that goes far beyond casual interest. She's not memorizing facts. She's absorbing pieces of you, storing them quietly, almost instinctively, because something in her recognizes your significance long before she allows herself to admit it. This kind of remembering isn't dramatic or obvious. It's subtle. It shows up in moments when you least expect it. Maybe you once mentioned your favorite snack, and weeks later she brings it up casually. Maybe you told her about a tough day at work, and she checks in again, long after everyone else has forgotten. Or maybe she recalls the way you like things done, the smallest preferences that most people would overlook, because to her, those details aren't random. They're expressions of who you are, and understanding who you are feels important to her. Psychologically, this happens because emotional investment activates selective attention. We naturally remember what matters to us. When someone becomes emotionally relevant, our mind filters their words differently. We assign meaning, weight, and significance to even the simplest things they say. So when she repeatedly remembers the little things, it's not just a sign of good memory, it's a sign that her heart reacts to you before her words ever do. What's even more revealing is the way she recalls details without trying to use them for anything. She mentions them in passing, sometimes accidentally, because they're simply part of what she carries with her. She might remember a story you shared months ago, the name of a friend, a dream you once expressed, or a challenge you're facing. These memories live in her because she's been paying attention on a deeper, more emotional level. She's listening to understand, not just to respond. And you'll notice something else. She remembers the emotional details even more than the factual ones. She remembers how you felt about something, not just what happened. She picks up on your tone, your hesitations, your excitement, your worries. A secretly loving woman pays attention to your emotional landscape because, whether she admits it or not, she's already connected to it. She sees the unspoken meaning behind your words, and that understanding becomes part of how she relates to you. But because her feelings are hidden, she tries not to make this awareness too obvious. She might pretend she just happened to recall something, or she'll brush it off like it's nothing. But emotionally, it's everything. It reveals that she's been investing in you quietly, internally, without expecting recognition. This inner investment often creates a sense of emotional intimacy before any romantic relationship has even begun. She feels close to you even if she hasn't told you why. There's also a philosophical layer here. People don't remember what they don't value. Her memory is a reflection of the meaning you hold in her inner world. It shows that you've moved from being a passing figure to someone who occupies mental and emotional space. And because she's not ready to express this openly, remembering becomes her safest form of affection. It allows her to care without confessing. It lets her feel connected without risking vulnerability. And if you pay attention, you'll see that her remembering isn't random. It's consistent. It forms a pattern. She remembers the things connected to your joy, your pain, your aspirations. She remembers the moments when you revealed something real about yourself. She remembers what affects you because, quietly and without announcement, you affect her. So when you notice that she recalls the details you've forgotten, understand this: her heart has been listening, not passively, not casually, but intentionally, because you are someone she has already started to value, even if she's still pretending that nothing is happening. When a woman secretly loves you but pretends she doesn't, her behavior often forms a quiet contradiction. Outwardly, she may appear confident, composed, even unaffected by your presence. She presents herself as someone who has everything under control. But the moment you step into the room, something in her shifts. It's subtle, almost invisible unless you're paying attention. Her voice changes slightly, her posture adjusts, her mind becomes more alert. It's as if her entire system becomes aware of your presence before she consciously acknowledges it. That inner shift is the emotional tension of hidden affection, wanting to be seen, yet fearing exposure. This nervousness isn't the kind that causes panic. It's the kind that makes her overthink small things. She becomes more careful with her words, more aware of how she appears, more conscious of what she says and how she says. She may even rehearse her responses in her head without realizing it. Psychologically, this happens because affection raises the stakes. When someone matters to us, we naturally want to be perceived well by them, and when the feelings are unspoken, the pressure becomes even more intense. She wants to impress you, but she also wants to hide the fact that she cares so much. That internal conflict creates the subtle nervousness you see. You'll notice it in the way she adjusts her appearance, fixing her hair, straightening her clothes, or checking her reflection when she notices you nearby. These small gestures aren't about vanity. They're about wanting to look her best for someone who has captured her attention. Even if she denies it, even if she tells herself she doesn't care, her body betrays her. Our physical instincts often reveal the truth long before our emotions are ready to admit it. And this nervousness doesn't only show up physically, it shows up emotionally too. Around you, she might become more quiet than usual or unexpectedly talkative. She may stumble over her words, laugh a little too quickly, or avoid direct eye contact when the conversation becomes personal. These micro reactions are powerful indicators of hidden interest. They reflect a deeper truth. She is not indifferent to you. Her heart is engaged, and that engagement makes her feel exposed in ways she's not prepared to share. It's also fascinating how a woman who appears strong and self-assured in every other area of her life can still become hesitant or shy around the man she secretly loves. Strength doesn't eliminate vulnerability, it only hides it. And when someone touches her emotionally, that protective layer weakens. She becomes more human, more raw, more sincere. Her guard drops, not because she wants it to, but because her feelings make it impossible to maintain the same level of emotional distance. But here's the philosophical depth behind it. Nervousness is a form of truth. People don't get nervous around those they don't care about. Nervousness is the body's way of saying, this matters. It's the internal acknowledgement that your presence carries emotional meaning. And when a woman is trying to hide her feelings, that nervousness becomes even more pronounced because she's fighting two battles at once: her desire to connect and her fear of being seen too clearly. You may also notice that she avoids certain conversations or brushes off compliments, not because she doesn't appreciate them, but because accepting them feels too intimate. Hidden love makes even simple interactions feel charged. She doesn't want to expose too much of her inner world, so she keeps her responses controlled. But that control is fragile. You can feel the tension beneath it, the softness she's trying to disguise, the affection she's trying to contain. And if you really pay attention, you'll see that her nervousness is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of emotional truth. It's the echo of her heart trying to express something her words aren't ready to articulate. So the next time you notice her fidgeting, overthinking, or suddenly becoming shy in your presence, don't dismiss it. That nervousness is the quiet confession she doesn't dare to speak aloud. And sometimes the truth people try hardest to hide is the truth they feel the deepest. When a woman secretly loves you but pretends she doesn't, one of the most telling signs is the subtle ways she reacts when other women enter the picture. Hidden affection often comes wrapped in layers of control and restraint, yet jealousy is an instinct that slips through even the tightest defenses. It doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. In fact, the most revealing moments are often quiet, almost imperceptible. She might become slightly withdrawn, her laughter may fade, or her tone may carry a subtle edge. These micro-reactions aren't about possession or control. They are the unconscious signals of a heart that cares more deeply than she allows herself to admit. The reason this is such a powerful indicator is rooted in psychology. When we care about someone, we instinctively become aware of threats to that connection, even when the connection hasn't been formally acknowledged. A secretly loving woman experiences an emotional alert system. Her body, mind, and heart detect signals that could affect the potential for closeness. That detection triggers subtle protective behaviors. She may smile less when another woman talks to you, shift her position in the room, or redirect her attention elsewhere. These reactions aren't manipulative. They are the natural expression of emotional investment. What makes this fascinating is how often she tries to hide it. A woman in this position has to balance two competing desires: the desire to show that she cares and the need to maintain emotional composure. She fears appearing vulnerable or desperate, so she often masks her feelings under layers of casualness or humor. You might notice her making sarcastic remarks or teasing comments when another woman flirts with you. Those comments may seem playful, but they are protective. They signal subtle discomfort while keeping the situation socially acceptable. Her words may laugh, but her emotions are serious. Her body language reinforces the message in ways words never could. She may cross her arms, step back slightly, or unconsciously glance toward you more often when others are around. These are micro signs of emotional recalibration, a silent negotiation between wanting to step forward and holding back. Philosophically, it reflects the tension between vulnerability and self-preservation. She wants to protect her heart while simultaneously protecting the potential connection she feels with you. This duality is both fascinating and deeply human. Interestingly, jealousy in this context is not about ego. It is about value recognition. The discomfort she feels when another woman is near is a reflection of how much she already values you emotionally. It is not that she wants to control your choices, but that her heart has silently invested in you long before her lips have uttered the truth. Her jealousy is a signal that her emotions are already deeply intertwined with your presence, even if she refuses to label them outright. You'll notice subtle differences in how she treats you compared to others. Her attention, her care, her reactions are all calibrated differently when she perceives a potential threat. She may unconsciously try to engage with you more, make herself present in conversations, or highlight her shared experiences with you. These behaviors are not consciously strategized. They are instinctive. They flow from a place of emotional investment that cannot remain entirely hidden, no matter how carefully she conceals it. At the same time, she may withdraw in some ways, testing your reactions without revealing her own emotions. This push-pull is a hallmark of hidden love. She approaches emotionally, yet retreats when she senses the risk of exposure. It creates a dynamic where her affection is felt rather than spoken, observed rather than declared. Those who can read between the lines will see the truth in the tension, in the small inconsistencies, in the guarded yet revealing moments. So when you notice her subtly shifting, reacting, or guarding herself when other women are present, understand this. It is a sign that your presence matters more than she is willing to admit. Hidden jealousy is not weakness. It is evidence of emotional depth. It is the quiet echo of a heart invested, a heart trying to protect itself while longing to reveal the truth. And if you pay attention, you'll realize that the people who care the most often speak the least, but their hearts always leave a trail.